What up, guys? It's Jay Wolt here with the My Muscle Academy, and let's get into it today. Let's talk about the best bodybuilding books of all time. I'm not going to do this with 20 jump cuts like the rest of these guys on YouTube. One take, real as it gets. Let's get right into it now. And the number one book has to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. So this book came out in 1985, my birth year. It was re-released maybe a decade later as the Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. It is badass. It has 800 pages. It has the best bodybuilding photography of all time ever, period. So it is loaded with amazing imagery, but more importantly, it breaks down the entire history of bodybuilding. It talks about Arnold's predecessors, Reg Park, his mentor, how he was able to train with him, learn from these guys that came before him, and then his contemporaries, who he's also very generous of. He's not belittling his competition. He is putting these guys in the book to give them exposure and build their credibility and fame as well. So he's very generous with these guys. And then his successors, the guys like Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, the 80s and 90s badass bodybuilders, he was able to use these guys as well. And that's awesome, awesome stuff. And more importantly, guys, he hasn't competed since the 1980 Mr. Olympia, but he is still more relevant now than ever before. He was the golden child. No one has expanded the reach of physique training like Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic is still the most prominent expo in the world. It's expanding to South America, to Asia, so he is still tremendously growing the sport. And before I turn to a stand, let's keep it moving here. The second book I'd have to recommend to you guys is Frank Zane's Symmetry. This is such a powerful book. It's almost like a compass for the intelligent bodybuilder. I ordered this about 3 years ago from Zane's website right when it came out, so it's relatively new. And the first part of the book is really interesting. It's his autobiography from day one. I mean, this guy is fit, like he says, from womb to tomb. He's going in and staying fit his entire career. He never falls off. He's in his mid-70s, and still, right now, he is shredded. He looks awesome. So it's very cool, powerful stuff. His philosophy for each of these decades of training, what he went through with his own ego, and just very deep introspective work, which I really, really appreciate as an artist. So in phase 2, he goes even deeper. He goes to the core philosophies. I'm talking genomic wisdom, the expression of our ancestors through our genes, the symmetry of the universe as a reflection of yourself, and this coming out in the form of your body and your mindset, his mantras, how he's used this to overcome obstacles, injury, and find this artistic expression in his life, relationships, etc. So it's a very powerful book, guys. I definitely recommend checking it out. And for another contemporary, the third book I recommend to you today would be High Intensity Training the Mike Mentzer Way. So Mike Mentzer had the handlebar mustache, powerful guy, him and his brothers, but they had the opposing philosophy of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger is on this high volume, tons of sets, tons of reps, and Mentzer, on the other hand, is condensing all of his intensity down into one set and going all in. So it's a really badass philosophy. I really like it. And that leads me into my next recommendation, which is Dorian Yates' Blood and Guts. This is a video trainer as well, but Dorian was the first one to move some serious, heavy-ass weight with textbook form. We've never seen this before. We have never seen a physique this big and this lean before Dorian Yates. So that is amazing stuff. I remember my dad turned me on to Dorian early on, and it was just kind of this new era of bodybuilding. I'm not a huge fan of the mass monsters. It's cool. It pushed the envelope. But if it wasn't for Dorian, you wouldn't have guys like Ronnie Coleman and Phil Heath and Jay Cutler and Kai Green. So it kind of led into the new age of bodybuilding that we're in right now. From there, I'd have to tell you that a really cool book is Frederick Delavier, Strength Training Anatomy. It's using art and Western science, so seeing every fiber, every detail in the muscle drawn perfectly, but not on some little stick figure anatomy chart. This is drawn into perfection on the rounded muscle bellies of today's modern bodybuilders and fitness models. So it's that look that I like. It's very cool stuff and definitely worth checking out. Add it to the library. Another recommendation for you guys would be Starting Strength by Mark Ripito. This is a solid introduction into the foundation of powerlifting. He's teaching about compound movements. Look at the old school guys, Arnold, Franco, the guys today, they still squat, they still bench, they still deadlift. So this shows you that these compound movements are the base of everything you do in the gym. So master these movements, really get them down. Starting Strength, Mark Ripito, great read. Mark has influenced thousands of people with this book, so it's really, really powerful stuff. Another book that's on a completely different style is Sam Fussel's Confessions of an Unlikely Bodybuilder. And what he does in this book is give you this hyper-intellectual perspective on the nitty-gritty underbelly of bodybuilding. So it's about the 80s, which is a good documentation of this time period, but he's coming in from Oxford, this super highbrow knowledge, to New York City, to living in the underbelly of NYC. I mean, he's in a ditty, gritty dungeon gym. It's just hardcore, man. He gets 2 refrigerators to store all of his food. He talks about all the weirdos that he meets. He ends up going out to LA, living with like a stripper and a drug dealer, and all just the crazy sex, drugs, relationships of that time period. And to give you a little spoiler, he ends up abandoning this part of, bodybuilding. But it was still a phase in his life. He hit these extreme goals of benching 400, squatting 500. He has the pictures to prove it. So a really, really interesting story. Definitely worth checking out. Another bodybuilding author that I really, really enjoy is Bob Paris. He also left bodybuilding behind, but he was pushing the envelope with the photography, the art, tons of published books, but more importantly, his poetry now is really, really powerful stuff. I've also reached out to Bob, and he's been an influence on me in his physique and also being an artist. So very, very cool guy. I really recommend checking out his work as well. And last but not least, guys, if you found this video helpful, please check out my book, Mind Muscle Academy, A New Philosophy of Integrated Training. So this is Bodybuilding 2.0. This is that new wave, that new movement that's coming on, adding Eastern and Western philosophy, integrating them together. I do this with the 4 pillars or the 4 laws of the Mind Muscle Academy, and it's to expand breathing, so getting meditation practice going, getting deeper breathing techniques to help you inside and outside of the gym, increasing awareness, understanding your core, understanding the awareness of every inch of your square body to better understand your environment around you in intense situations when things become fight or flight. So it's that cover model physique, once again, paired with that warrior mindset. And that's where I add in these mental strength training workouts. So these are workouts that are going to develop grit. They're going to put that hardcore, high intensity mindset, push you to the limit. So not only are you sculpted, you are working as hard as possible, creating new benchmarks of mental achievement. And last but not least, extending energy. So you're extending energy, not just into your workouts, but into your life. But I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this, guys. There's a 12-week video trainer, everything you need. Go to justinwoltering.com and check it out. I want to see your transformations. I want to hear from you. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you there.